I'm going to tell you something I've never admitted publicly. There was a period in my life where I had everything I thought I wanted: the success, the recognition, the impact. And I felt absolutely hollow inside. Not sad, hollow. Like I was watching someone else live my life. And the scariest part? I kept performing anyway because I was terrified that if I stopped moving, I'd have to admit I'd built the wrong dream. See, settling doesn't always look like giving up. Sometimes it looks like achieving goals that were never really yours. Sometimes it looks like success that doesn't touch your soul. And if you're watching this feeling successful but empty, or stuck but can't name why, you're in the right place. Because this video isn't about motivation that fades by Tuesday. It's about understanding why you keep choosing less than you deserve, even when you consciously want more. Most people think settling is about circumstances or courage, but it's actually about identity. You can only have what you believe you're allowed to have. We're going to expose the invisible script that's been running your life, why your nervous system resists change, even when you hate where you are, and the one reframe that makes wanting more feel safe instead of selfish. This isn't about doing more, it's about becoming free. So let me paint you a picture. Imagine a bird that's been raised in a cage its entire life. Every day, same four walls, same metal bars, same tiny space. The bird doesn't know any different. It eats from the same bowl, perches on the same wire, looks out at the world through the same small opening. And then one day, someone opens the cage door. The door swings wide open. Freedom, space, sky. Everything that bird was designed for is right there, just beyond the threshold. And you know what happens? The bird doesn't move. It doesn't fly out. It stays exactly where it is, sometimes for days, sometimes forever. Because here's what nobody tells you about freedom. It's terrifying when you've been conditioned to believe safety lives inside limitations. Now, you might be thinking, well, that's just a bird. That's not me. But let me ask you something. How many times have opportunities shown up in your life? Real, tangible opportunities. And you didn't take them? How many times has someone offered you a chance, a door opened, a possibility appeared, and you stayed exactly where you were? And I'm not talking about being smart or cautious. I'm talking about those moments where every cell in your body knew this was your moment, and you still said no. Or worse, you said yes and then sabotaged it. You started strong and then found a way to make it not work. Found a way to prove that you were right all along, that this kind of thing doesn't happen for people like you. The cage wasn't keeping the bird in, the bird was keeping the bird in. And here's where it gets really uncomfortable for most people. You're doing the same thing. Not because you're weak or broken or damaged, but because you were programmed. From the time you were a little kid, you absorbed messages about what was possible for you. Your parents, who loved you with everything they had, taught you their ceilings. Their limitations became your inheritance. If your mom believed that wanting more was selfish, you learned to apologize for your dreams. If your dad believed that struggle was noble and ease was suspicious, you learned to make everything harder than it needs to be. If your family believed that people like us don't get to have lives like that, you learned to edit your desires before you even fully felt them. And I get it, I really do. Because I grew up in an environment where chaos was normal, where violence was a Tuesday, where survival meant making yourself small and invisible and not asking for too much. And for years, even after I started creating success, there was this part of me that felt like an imposter. Like I was getting away with something. Like eventually, someone was going to figure out that I wasn't supposed to be here, that I didn't deserve this, that I should go back to where I came from. And I performed like crazy to outrun that feeling. I built businesses, I helped millions of people, I created impact. And underneath all of it was this frantic energy of prove it, prove it, prove it. Prove you belong, prove you're worthy, prove you're enough. And then one day I realized something that changed everything. The cage I was living in wasn't made of circumstances anymore. It was made of beliefs. Beliefs about what I was allowed to have. Beliefs about what would happen if I stopped hustling and just received. Beliefs about whether it was safe to actually enjoy my life, or if I needed to keep manufacturing problems to solve so I could feel valuable. And here's the truth that nobody wants to hear. You're not settling because you lack options. You're settling because expansion feels like betrayal. Betrayal of your family who didn't get to have what you have. Betrayal of your younger self who survived by staying small. Betrayal of the story you've been telling about who you are and what you're worth. Let me give you another way to think about this, because I know some of you are still resisting. There's an old teaching about two wolves that live inside every person. One wolf represents your authentic desires, everything your soul came here to experience. The other wolf represents your adaptive survival self, the part that learned to fit in, to not rock the boat, to take what you can get and be grateful. And these two wolves are in a constant battle inside you, every single day. Every decision is a vote for one wolf or the other. Now, everyone asks, which wolf wins? And that's the wrong question. The real question is, which wolf are you starving? Because here's what I've seen over and over again in my work with people. The wolf that represents your dreams, your authentic desires, your soul's true calling. Most people starve that wolf their entire lives. They feed the wolf of practicality. They feed the wolf of other people's expectations. They feed the wolf of safety and security and not making waves. And they wonder why they feel dead inside. They wonder why Sunday nights fill them with dread. They wonder why they're successful on paper but empty in their heart. And here's the paradox that'll mess with your mind if you let it. The safe choices you're making, they're killing you. Slowly, quietly. Your body is keeping score even when your mind is making excuses. That tightness in your chest, that's not anxiety. That's your soul suffocating. That exhaustion you can't shake no matter how much you sleep, that's not a medical condition. That's the weight of living a life that's too small for who you actually are. Your spirit is screaming at you in the only language it knows. Physical sensation, emotional heaviness, a restlessness you can't name. And the relationship you're staying in, even though it's been over for 2 years, you know exactly what I'm talking about. The one where you're more like roommates than lovers, where you've stopped dreaming together and started just managing logistics, where you can predict every conversation before it happens because you've had it 1,000 times. You tell yourself you're staying for good reasons, the kids, the mortgage, the history, the comfort. But really, you're staying because leaving would mean admitting you've been settling. It would mean facing the unknown. It would mean potentially being alone. And that terrifies you more than a lifetime of quiet disappointment. Or maybe it's the job, the one that pays well enough but slowly drains your life force. Where you watch the clock every afternoon, where Sunday evening feels like morning because you know what Monday morning brings. Where you've stopped contributing your best ideas because you've learned that innovation isn't actually rewarded here, compliance is. And you tell yourself, this is just how work is. This is being an adult. This is being responsible. But your soul knows better. Your soul knows that trading hours of your one precious life for money to buy things you don't even enjoy anymore is not a fair exchange. It's a slow death with benefits. Or maybe it's the city you're living in, the one you ended up in by accident or obligation, not by choice. And every time you visit somewhere that makes your heart sing, you feel this ache, this longing, this sense of, I could have a different life. But then you come home and you tell yourself, my whole life is here. My job is here. My people are here. I can't just leave. And so you stay. And you scroll through pictures of other places on your phone late at night when you can't sleep. And you feel this grief you can't explain to anyone because how do you tell people you're mourning a life you never lived? This is what settling looks like. It's not one big dramatic moment where you give up. It's 1,000 tiny moments where you choose comfort over truth, where you numb instead of feel, where you say, maybe tomorrow until tomorrow becomes never. And settling isn't about what you choose. It's about which part of you gets to choose. Is it the part that remembers who you really are? Or is it the part that's still trying to earn love by being good, being small, being convenient for everyone else? So, if that's the problem, what's the way out? Let's break this down because I know your mind is spinning right now. Some of you are feeling defensive. Some of you are feeling exposed. Some of you are feeling a dangerous little spark of hope. Good. Stay with me. Here's the first truth you need to understand. You're waiting for permission. You're waiting for someone to tell you it's okay to want more. Your parents, your partner, your boss, society, God, someone. And here's what I need you to hear. That permission will never come. Because no one else can see your soul's blueprint. No one else knows what you came here to do, to create, to experience. They're looking at you through the filter of their own limitations, their own fears, their own unfinished business. When someone tells you to be realistic, they're really saying, stay in the cage with me because your freedom makes me feel my captivity. When someone tells you you're asking for too much, they're really saying, I never gave myself permission to want that much, so how dare you? Here's the second truth. Your nervous system doesn't differentiate between good familiar and bad familiar. It just wants familiar. This is neuroscience, not philosophy. Your brain is wired to keep you alive, not happy. And to your brain, change equals danger. It doesn't matter if the change is good. It doesn't matter if staying is slowly destroying you. Familiar feels safe even when familiar is toxic. This is why you keep ending up in the same patterns, the same relationships, the same situations with different faces. Your nervous system is running a program that says, this is what love looks like. This is what success looks like. This is what I deserve. And until you update that program, you'll keep creating the same results. Third truth, and this is the one that changes everything. You can't outperform your self-concept. You cannot have more than you believe you're allowed to have. If somewhere deep in your identity, in the story you tell about yourself, you believe you're the one who struggles, who sacrifices, who always comes in second, who helps everyone else succeed while you stay stuck, then you will sabotage every opportunity that contradicts that story. You'll pick fights, you'll self-destruct, you'll find a reason why it won't work. Not because you're broken, but because your identity is fighting for its life. Your ego would rather be right than happy. It would rather keep you safe in a familiar prison than risk the unknown of expansion. And here's the paradox that seems impossible until you experience it. The moment you stop trying to prove you deserve more is the moment you become available to receive it. Desperation repels. Peaceful knowing attracts. When you're hustling and grinding and pushing and forcing, trying to earn your worth, you're operating from lack. You're saying, I'm not enough yet. I don't have it yet. I need to become someone different. And the universe mirrors that energy right back to you. But when you stand in the truth of, I am already worthy, I am already whole, I am simply claiming what's already mine, everything shifts. Opportunities appear, people show up, doors open. Not because you became someone different, but because you stopped pretending to be someone you're not. Okay, so what do you actually do with this? Because I can hear some of you saying, this is beautiful, but I need something practical. I need steps. I need actions. I got you. But understand, these aren't about perfection. They're about building evidence for your nervous system that it's safe to want more, safe to take up space, safe to choose yourself. First thing starting tomorrow morning, the morning truth ritual. Takes 30 seconds. That's it. When you wake up, before you check your phone, before you start running your mental to-do list, before you put on your armor for the day, put your hand on your heart and ask yourself one question. What do I actually want today? Not what you should want. Not what would make you look good or make other people comfortable. What do you actually want? And here's the important part. Notice where you censor yourself. Notice where your mind immediately jumps to, well, I can't have that, or that's not realistic, or people will think I'm selfish. That moment of censorship, that's your cage revealing itself. That's the old program running. Just notice it. You don't have to fight it. Just see it. Because you can't change what you can't see. Second practice, the boundary audit. This week, just one time. I want you to identify one place where you're tolerating something that violates you. One place where you're saying yes when everything in you is screaming no. One place where you're shrinking to make someone else comfortable. And I want you to practice this phrase. That doesn't work for me. 5 words. No explanation. No justification. No apology. Just truth. That doesn't work for me. Now, your whole system is going to panic when you do this. You're going to want to soften it, to explain, to make sure they still like you. Don't. Let the discomfort be there. Let the other person be confused or even upset. Your job isn't to manage their emotions. Your job is to honor your truth. And watch what happens. Most of the time, people respect it. They adjust. And the ones who don't, they're showing you exactly why you needed that boundary in the first place. Third practice, and this one's powerful, the future self letter. Tonight, before you go to sleep, take 5 minutes and write a letter from the version of you who already lives the unsettled life, the you who chose expansion over safety, the you who chose truth over comfort, the you who said yes to their soul even though it was scary. Let that version of you write to the current you. Let them tell you what mattered and what didn't. Let them tell you what you were afraid of that turned out to be the doorway. Let them tell you what they wish you'd known. And then read that letter whenever you're at a crossroads. Whenever you're tempted to choose the familiar cage. Let your future self remind you what you're actually here for. Here's what I want you to understand as we close this out. You didn't end up here by accident. You didn't click on this video by coincidence. Something in you knows you're living smaller than your soul requires. And that knowing, that restlessness you feel at 3 in the morning, that ache when you see someone living fully and freely, that's not jealousy. That's not your enemy. That's your compass. That's your soul saying, remember. Remember who you are. Remember what you came here for. Remember that settling was never your destiny. It was just a survival strategy you no longer need. The life you deserve isn't waiting for you to become someone different. It's not on the other side of 10 more pounds or 1 more degree or the right relationship or the perfect timing. It's waiting for you to remember who you've always been, underneath all the conditioning, all the compromise, all the shrinking. The person you are when no one's watching. The person you are in your dreams. The person you are when you forget to be afraid. And I know some of you are thinking, but you don't understand my situation. You don't know my limitations. You don't know what I am dealing with. And you're right. I don't know your specific circumstances. But I know this. Every single person I've ever worked with who transformed their life started exactly where you are right now. Stuck, scared, convinced that their situation was different. Convinced that maybe for other people, but not for me. And the moment they stopped arguing for their limitations and started claiming their possibility, everything changed. Not because their circumstances changed, because they changed. Because they decided that living in alignment with their soul was non-negotiable. Because they chose truth over comfort. Because they remembered that life isn't a dress rehearsal. Here's your new truth, and I want you to say this out loud with me right now. Say it until your body believes it. I am not broken. I am not behind. I am not asking for too much. I am simply remembering that settling was never my destiny. It was just a survival strategy I no longer need. One more time. I am not broken. I am not behind. I am not asking for too much. I am simply remembering that settling was never my destiny. It was just a survival strategy I no longer need. If this landed, if something shifted in you while we've been together, I want to know. Drop a comment below and tell me one thing you're done settling for. Just one. Maybe it's the job. Maybe it's the relationship. Maybe it's the story you've been telling about why you can't have what you want. Name it. Because when you name it, you take its power away. When you bring it into the light, you can finally choose differently. And if you want more truth like this, hit that subscribe button. Not because I need you to, but because you deserve a regular reminder that you're allowed to want everything your heart whispers about. You deserve to be surrounded by voices that call you higher instead of talking you down. You deserve content that treats you like the powerful creator you actually are instead of a victim of circumstance. You're not selfish for wanting more. You're not ungrateful. You're not too much. You're awake. And that changes everything. The world doesn't need you small. It needs you fully alive, fully expressed, fully you. So stop waiting for permission. Stop waiting for perfect. Stop waiting for someday. Your life is happening right now, and you deserve more than the one you're settling for. Now go live like you believe it.